Hello, my friends. It is day 76, and we're reading Deuteronomy chapter 17 through Deuteronomy chapter 20. But before we get into today's recap, I want to thank you for taking a moment to check out this video, and hopefully you are enjoying the yearly Bible reading program. If you have not yet accepted the invitation, please make sure you check out the description box below, and there you will find a link to the YouVersion Bible app where you can accept that invitation and be a part of the yearly Bible reading program, where there are several people across the country and really across the world reading the Bible, and many of them are leaving feedback on the things they're learning and discovering each and every day. So I think you'll be blessed by that, and hopefully you'll gain a lot from it. So today we're reading in the book of Deuteronomy. We're continuing our reading in this book where there is a second reiteration of the law, and there are several people learning what does it mean to be a part of God's family. And this is something that is necessary because we know in the book of Numbers, individuals spent 38 years wandering throughout the wilderness, and now a generation has passed away and a new generation is coming along to take on the responsibility of inheriting and possessing the promised land. And so in order to do that, you need commandments, you need laws, you need things that can prepare you not for where you are, but for where you're going. And this is essentially what we get really in today's reading. We see a number of things that stand out here, notably the way in which Israel is to settle and govern themselves. There's a theme, however, throughout all of the chapters about how they are to really be a separate people, holy people, and that never goes away. But to see it manifest in how you select leaders, or even how you identify false prophets, how you establish cities, how you are going to war. All of these things are important to the nation of Israel's ability to actually be a holy and a separate nation. So when we look at chapter 17, one of the things that stood out to me was this guidance for a king. And, you know, it's just amazing how humble a king was supposed to be. I think this is incredibly important. I think this is something that is actually not well thought through in today's world. You know, we kind of take more of a proud position in many instances, and this is just not the way a leader should be. It's neither is it a way for how the king of Israel obviously was supposed to be. There's a certain level and understanding of leadership that was supposed to be embraced, and much of that is centered around being humble, knowing how to execute justice, and really being the biggest and the leading learner in the nation. I think that is actually probably one of the greatest attributes a leader can have, is the ability and the willingness to learn. A leader that is leading the people in learning is perhaps best qualified to be a benefit and to be an asset to those that are following. This is why he says in chapter 17, verse 18, when he sits on his throne as king, he must copy for himself this body of instruction on a scroll in the presence of the Levitical priest. He must always keep that copy with him and read it daily as long as he lives. That way he will learn to fear the Lord, his God, by obeying all the terms of these instructions and decrees. And this regular reading will prevent him from becoming proud and acting as if he is above his fellow citizens. It is also to prevent him from turning away from these commands in the smallest way, and it will ensure that he and his descendants will reign for many generations in Israel. So you see the guidance here, being the chief learner, being the leading learner, will allow him to create or establish the disciplines and the characteristics that are necessary to really, really, really lead well. And so when we look at this, it's a blueprint, really. And so what we'll find is, as the leader goes, so do the people in the history of Israel. And a lot of their ungodliness is really to blame on the leadership practices of Israel's kings. So when we get through the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 17, chapter 18, 19, 20, we see a few things again, individuals being warned about how they establish justice, how they set up cities, even regulations for war. All of these things are ways that Israel will establish themselves as a holy nation. It is what they do in everyday life, not just what they do in their personal pious attempts to reflect God in the world. It is bigger than that. It is not one individual, but it is what we do collectively that speaks the loudest in the world. And I think that's something for us to note in the 21st century, where we have more of a concentration towards personal, individual relationships with Christ, when we should also understand that our biggest impact is not what we do individually, but what we do collectively. And so we see this in this passage, and I think we see this all throughout the book of Deuteronomy, and I hope we'll continue to pull more principles that will help us guide our lives here today. But listen, what are you learning? What are you discovering? Leave some comments in the comment box below. Let us know what you're discovering from God's word. We'd love to stir some conversation in the comment box and inspire other people to take note of what's going on. But until we meet again, continue to read. Let God feed your mind with his wisdom, and I believe you'll be better off for it. Until next time, thank you for watching. Take care. God bless, and remember, live by the word.